I moved into the new house on a quiet Sunday afternoon, the kind of silence that feels peaceful at first, but slowly becomes uncomfortable the longer it lasts. The address was 46 Willow Lane, a narrow street with identical houses lined up neatly, except mine. Mine stood slightly apart, its gate rusted, its windows darker than the rest as if they reflected less light. The previous owner had moved out suddenly. That's all I was told. No stories. No explanations. No questions encouraged. As I unlocked the front door for the first time, I noticed something strange. The lock was already warm, as if someone had just used it moments before me. I brushed the thought away and stepped inside. The house smelled clean, but old. Like fresh paint layered over years of trapped air. Every room felt colder than it should have been, even with the afternoon sun pouring through the windows. Sound behaved oddly inside. My footsteps echoed longer than expected, and when I closed the door, the sound didn't fade. Just stopped. Abruptly. That first evening, I unpacked slowly, trying to make the place feel like home. Furniture creaked when I touched it, even pieces that were brand new. The walls felt thicker than normal, almost padded, as if they were built to keep something in, or out. Night arrived faster than I expected. By 10:47 p.m., the house had gone completely silent. No distant cars. No wind. No insects. I sat on the couch, TV on, volume low, just to prove to myself that I wasn't alone with my thoughts. That's when I heard it. The sound so soft I almost missed it. A dragging noise, coming from upstairs. It wasn't footsteps. It wasn't creaking wood. It sounded like something being pulled slowly across the floor. I muted the TV. The sound stopped immediately. I waited. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Just as I convinced myself it was nothing, the dragging started again. This time closer to the staircase. Whatever was upstairs was moving with purpose now, stopping occasionally as if listening, the same way I was. My chest tightened. I stood up slowly and walked toward the stairs, every instinct screaming at me to turn back. The staircase rose into darkness, the upper hallway completely unlit. And then I saw it. At the top of the stairs, the hallway light turned on by itself. No flicker. No delay. Just on. The light revealed the hallway carpet, and something on it. A long, uneven, wet trail stretching from one room to another, ending right at the top of the stairs. It looked fresh. I took a step back. The light switched off. Instantly. The house returned to darkness, but the silence felt heavier now, pressing against my ears. I tried to tell myself I was imagining things, that stress had played tricks on my mind. That's when I realized something far worse. The dragging sound wasn't upstairs anymore. It was coming from behind the wall I was standing next to. Slow, careful, patient. As if whatever was inside the house was no longer hiding. It was getting closer. And it already knew where I was. Part 2. The dragging sound grew louder. It wasn't random. It moved with intent, sliding along the walls, then pausing. Pausing right where I had been standing moments before. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. But my legs wouldn't move. My chest tightened like a vice. Then the air shifted. A cold, heavy draft brushed my face. I could feel it move around me, circling, testing, waiting. I grabbed my phone, desperate for light, for some sense of control. The screen blinked on. The battery was full, but no signal. No notifications. Nothing but a single line appearing on the screen. I see you. I froze. The words felt alive. Like a warning. Or a declaration. The dragging stopped. Silence fell. I thought it had gone. I thought I was safe. Then I heard breathing. Slow. It. Coming from the ceiling. From the walls. From all directions at once. A shadow appeared at the corner of my vision. I could feel it stretch along the walls, taller than the ceiling, darker than the night outside. It moved closer. No footsteps. No sound. Just a presence, heavy and suffocating. I ran. Down the hallway. Toward the front door. But it wasn't the door I reached. It was a wall. The door had vanished. Every hallway, every room had shifted. The house was alive now. It wasn't just observing. It was hunting. I tried to think, to remember logic, to find a way out. Then I noticed the mirrors. Every reflection didn't show me. It showed something else. Something tall. Thin. Shrouded in shadows. Its eyes glowed faintly red. It smiled. I realized then that the house didn't want me to leave. Wanted me to stay. Forever. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time didn't exist here. The shadow moved closer. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Then the lights flickered. For 1 second, just one, I saw the front door again. It was real. It existed. I ran. I didn't look back. The house groaned behind me like a living thing, disappointed. I burst into the street. The night air hit my face. The silence outside was normal. The world was normal. I glanced back. The house looked peaceful again. Closed windows. Still walls. Nothing to suggest it had been alive at all. But I knew. And I would never forget. House number 46 waits. It waits for the next one. And if I ever returned, I would not be alone. I moved into the house thinking it was temporary. Just a few months until I found something better. The landlord had been strangely eager to rent it out, offering a price that didn't match the size or location. When I asked why it had been empty for so long, he smiled briefly and said, "People don't stay long here." I assumed he meant the neighborhood. I was wrong. The first night passed quietly. Too quietly. No traffic noise, no distant voices, not even the sound of stray animals. It felt like the house existed outside the rest of the world. When I turned off the lights and lay in bed, the darkness felt thick, almost heavy, pressing down on my chest. I told myself it was just exhaustion. On the second night, I noticed something odd. No matter what time I woke up, the house felt awake. The walls seemed alert, listening. At exactly 2:17 a.m., I heard a soft sound, like fingernails gently tapping against wood. It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. It was patient. When I sat up, the sound stopped immediately. I checked every room. Nothing. No broken furniture. No open windows. I returned to bed, unsettled but unconvinced. Just as I closed my eyes, the tapping returned, this time from behind the wall at my headboard. Slow. Deliberate. As if something was measuring the space between us. By the fourth night, sleep became impossible. The sounds moved. Sometimes from the ceiling. Sometimes from beneath the floor. Always stopping the moment I focused on them. The house was learning when I was listening. When I finally spoke out loud, just a shaky, "Who's there?" The silence that followed was absolute. The kind that makes your ears ring. The next morning, I found marks on the wall near my bed. Long, thin lines carved into the paint, as if something had dragged itself across the surface. They hadn't been there before. I considered leaving, but something stopped me. Not fear. Curiosity. A quiet, dangerous curiosity that whispered I needed to understand. That night the house changed. The air grew cold, unnaturally so. My breath fogged in front of me. At exactly 2:17 a.m. the tapping returned, louder now, closer. Then came the whispering. Not voices. A voice. Mine. Repeating things I had never said out loud. Thoughts I had buried. Regrets. Fears. Memories I didn't remember sharing with anyone. I ran for the door. It wouldn't open. The walls seemed to bend inward, the ceiling lowering just enough to make breathing feel difficult. In the reflection of the window, I saw movement behind me. A shape darker than the room itself, stretched thin, pressed against the wall like a stain that refused to fade. It didn't move. It didn't need to. It was already everywhere. I screamed. The sound never left my mouth. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. Morning light filled the room. The walls were normal. The door opened easily. The house felt empty again. I packed my things and left without looking back. I didn't tell anyone what happened. I didn't need to. Weeks later in my new apartment, I woke at 2:17 a.m. The room was silent. Awake. From the wall beside my bed, I heard a soft, familiar tapping. Slow. Patient. Waiting. The house hadn't been keeping me trapped. It had been learning how to follow.